بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. So basically we have been discussing Surah Al-Hadeed, Surah number 57, and it is a surah that was revealed in Medina, and possibly, I mean, more likely after the liberation of Mecca, as we will see today from some of the verses that helped us really like to position the surah not only in space but also in time, and put it in the perspective of the dynamics of Medina, and what Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam has been basically working on over the last 8 years in that city, to transform it really into a center of light shining really all over the world. Now, the last week we were discussing, or let me connect everything we have said with the central theme. What does it really mean to say that I believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I believe in his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam? What does it really mean? And if it does not really manifest itself in the humility of our hearts every time you think about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and being conscious of his presence, okay, and to comply with his instructions as they have been revealed to his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu. This is verse number 16 and 17. Alam ya'ni lilladhina amanu an takhsha'a qulubuhum li dhikrillahi wa ma nazala min al-haqq. Takhsha'a qulubuhum li dhikrillah. So they are all the time conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his beautiful names, and that should really be translated into compliance with his what he has revealed in terms of how to direct our actions, what type of meaning we are giving to our actions, what type of value we are giving to our actions. And so verse number 17, اعلموا أن الله يحيي الأرض بعد موتها. So either our hearts are really alive and ready to receive the revelation, the light from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like the earth, like the dead land, once it receives the rain and the water, and you know the connection between water and life. وَجَعَلْنَا مِنَ الْمَاءِ كُلَّ شَيْءٍ حَيٍّ. So it revives, it brings that land back to life, okay, similar to what we see every year in our own backyards. Okay, you come to a point towards the end of winter that, oh, is this coming back to be green and full of life? And wow, in no time springs come, the rain comes down, and your background is really alive again. So this is really, and again, this is how the surah started, talking about Allah subhanahu. Who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Al-Aziz, Al-Hakim, he owns the dominion of the heavens and earth. He grants life and deals death. He has power on everything. He is the first, nothing before him, and he is the last, and everything will perish, and he is the only one to stay. Okay. And كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه الظاهر والباطن. He is the outward as well the inward. You like the testimony of that actor that you were talking about, that he was able, like he did not see Allah himself, but he was able, like to see his manifestations. I mean, on through his very beautiful, organized creation. So you cannot see him. He is inward, but you through his creation you see him everywhere, in everything that you see or experience. You feel the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has knowledge of everything. He created the heavens and earth, and he knows everything, and he is with you all the time, everywhere you are, and he has he sees everything. Again, if he creates, it means that he has the knowledge of everything. أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ. He created all these things, as if you are saying to somebody, the person who created the iPhone, okay, he doesn't know what is inside it. No, he knows it in and out. We don't know. We don't know. Probably if you take somebody like me, I know a few applications, but so many things I really don't know. But the one who invented and created the iPhone knows everything about it. And the same thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, immediately once he said that he created, it means that he knows everything about this creation, and he owns it, and everything goes back to him. ترجع الأمور. I mean, from day one, إن إلى ربك الرجعة, which means that you need, how does that help me? How does it apply to me? That I need to refer everything to him. In other words, to guide me, to give me the right direction. The same way he created this universe, okay, in front of me, to tell me how to act in this universe. And if the universe does not agree with my action, it doesn't work. It doesn't lead to any result. So the universe has to agree on my action, while the revelation has, or should my action, the direction of my action has to be in compliance with the revelation. And this is where we always connect our action with the direction and the meaning associated with our action. The actions, for the action itself, I need the universe. But the universe doesn't tell me if this is right or wrong, if it is lead to a good or bad consequence. The revelation, the role and the function of the revelation is to direct these actions, to give the meaning and the interpretation of these actions. And so after all this description, read with me the next verse. Or يولج الليل في النهار ويولج النهار في الليل وهو عليم بذات الصدور. Even he owns time itself. And you know how difficult it is to think about time and the essence of time, but everyone believes in it, feels it, and you can measure it. But when you start to think about it itself, you don't know what to say about it. It's very abstract. Like all the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we took the example last time of rahmah. You know the manifestation of his rahmah. فَانظُرْ إِلَىٰ آثَارِ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ. Look at the effects of the mercy of Allah. But do we really know how it works? We know how it manifests itself. Life and death, we know. We can distinguish between somebody or who is alive and who is dead. But do we know about the exact nature of life and death? Can we deny that there is, in addition to this body, there is a spirit, there is a soul, there ruh? You feel the effects of it. But do we know about it? How much we know about it? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الرُّوحِ قُلِ الرُّوحُ مِنْ أَمْرِ رَبِّي وَمَا أُوتِيتُم مِّنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. We don't know about it, but we see its effects, and so we believe in it. So let alone when you talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is al-zahiru wal-batin. You don't see him, but still you feel him. You feel his presence in everything, in yourself and in everything around you. So this is Allah, the way I am presenting myself to you. This is the God that I am asking you to believe in. Aminu billahi. This is Allah that I want to believe in. It's not like a fluffy, abstract, really idea. No, when I say I believe in Allah, I believe in Allah who is the all justice, Allah who is the creator, Allah who is the sustainer, Allah who has all the knowledge, Allah who has all the wisdom, Hakim, Allah who has all the knowledge, Al-Alim. So this is how, and then you ask yourself, what is the best way to get closer to Allah who has all these attributes? To internalize, to actualize and realize these names in me. And this is how I get close. The more I seek knowledge, I am getting closer to Allah. The more I practice forgiveness, I am getting closer to Allah who is the all forgiving, Al-Ghafur. The more I practice mercy, I am getting closer to the most merciful, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ar-Rahim, Ar-Rahman. You see, and then Allah, the belief in Allah and the belief in Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and all the prophets are not dissociated from each other. They always come together because and don't separate. We distinguish. Allah is not his prophet, and the prophet is not Allah. But we do not separate between them because they are on the same side, on the same axis. وَأَنْفِقُوا. Now the implication. What is the implication of that belief? How does it manifest itself? وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. You see, so as we always say, that this belief is not just a lip service, is not only an intellectual exercise, but if once it really settles in the heart, of the believer, it should manifest itself in the actions of the believers. And one of the most challenging thing is how, because our own desires and really wealth is the epitome, if you like, of the peak, the most difficult, if you like, desire, raghbah, the most difficult, and it has a very powerful way of imprisoning us. So it may come between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so if we are capable of liberating ourselves from its siege, not from it, we need it, because our life cannot continue without these resources that all will really like translate into some form of wealth. But how, the challenge before us of how to have it, but having the capacity and the power to liberate ourselves from its siege or potential siege. And so it starts by really believing that everything we own, we are entrusted with. However, it is my voice, my body, my ideas, my reasoning, my intellect, my desires. You see, everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me, okay, is I am entrusted with. And so the way I deal with it is totally different. Somebody who thinks, oh, this is my desire and this is how I feel. Do you want like to tell you how I feel? Yes, you feel and I feel. But the idea, even these feelings, these desires, you are entrusted with. You don't own them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns all these things, and He put you as a trustee on all these resources, whether they are inside you or outside you. And look at the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to us. Earth, and not only the earth, but the heaven. هو الذي جعل خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سماوات وهو بكل شيء عليم. Before He created Adam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said this to us before He created Adam. He created all these resources so that Adam and his descendants will be able to discharge their task and their role and their project on this earth. You cannot, I mean, like, do your job without these resources. And this is how, look at it in Surah Al-Baqarah. It's very beautiful. I mean, like how to connect things together. In Surah Al-Baqarah, number 2, verse number 29. '29 and 30. You see, هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا ثم استوى إلى السماء فسواهن سبع سوا. So heaven and earth has been created as resources for man, for the human being to assume his and her function and role and the project on earth. Now, read the next. وَإِذْ قَالَ رَبُّكَ لِلْمَلَائِكَةِ إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. Over time, the human being has to reach that level. I am making a trustee on earth. When you say ja'ala, ja'il, it means there is an element of time. It's not like one-time event. It's over time. Man has to reach that level to act as a trustee on this earth. Look at around you. Do you see now in our time and the space? Do you see the human being acting as a trustee?
We don't.
Do you see what type of relationship we have established between us and everything we think that we own or we are in charge with?
We feel we are entitled to everything.
You see, oh, I have it, so I can do with it whatever I want, whether it is my body or my voice or my wealth or my property. No, I mean, like, take simple things. Okay, I'll give you a simple example. I want really to pave my driveway. Is there something, I mean, is it that a complicated thing? I mean, like, compared to other things? See how many things you have to get in terms of the permit and what you have to submit in order really to get a permit. Can I go to that state and say, I own that house, I can do whatever I want? They will not let you.
Yeah.
Even that you have to designate. This is the first time I see it, to be honest with you. Let me just pick it up. You have to designate like a responsible person for the soil erosion and sediment control. I'm sure you have gone through something similar or even more complicated, but I'm talking about a simple thing. And I own this house. I still need a permit. And with all I have to show the survey and all. I didn't know that it is so complicated. But if you leave everybody to act on his or her own, what will happen?
Chaos.
Chaos. You don't see pavement on the road, you see gravel and you see, I mean, soil and you see water and you see what I mean? So they need like so all this universe around you, okay, ordered in this way, and you see it from here, or if you are really in a space shuttle, okay? Do you think that you can act in it without being responsible?
Can't.
Who is really, you are talking now about the owner. This is why, I mean, these verses that we read is not really like only like to make it a beautiful construct in Quran. Each verse I have to ask myself, what is my portion of it?
It's a reminder.
Who
really owns?
I own. له ملك السماوات والأرض. So don't act irresponsibly. I am
Walid,
putting, yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
Okay, so when we read the ayah which you just read, Inni ja'ilun khalifatun.
Khalifa.
Yeah, the way I am understanding is Allah is revealing his grand plan to the assembly of the Malaika. Not necessarily, and the plan is that he will create the species who will inhabit this planet, but not to say that they will be his perfect representative, because if that's the case, then his plan was never successful. And astaghfirullah, because we see Adam's two sons, one kill the other. That is from almost like as from time t0. Okay. So, and I don't think there will ever be a time when all humans will be perfect, Allah's perfect slaves, because that will never happen.
No, I mean, no one is saying
no,
that.
I'm just saying
Yeah.
that. So the way I'm understanding is when he made that statement, he is just revealing his grand plan. And we saw that there was a protest, and that's how the Iblis was created. That was the beginning of the creation of Iblis, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah, and I think sometimes, and I'm not talking about you, particularly Brother Noor. In fact, I am talking about myself, that how important it is sometimes, or all the time, really to test our own assumptions. Because many times these assumptions may lead to really untoward really results, and may not be really the right. No, I mean, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need anyone to represent him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, I am putting a trustee on this earth. I have created for him and his descendants, okay, all these resources, okay, in order to do his job properly, okay, and to accomplish and achieve his project on this earth. But the idea of, it's not really representation, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't need anybody to represent him. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in his scheme, that he wants to put someone, a new species on this earth, different from everything else, okay, to do a different project. How a human being, okay, with this dual nature, as you alluded to in the story of the sons of Adam, okay, to tell us, okay, that it's when you are doing good, you are doing it against all this potential in us to do wrong.
Right.
You see, this doesn't happen with any, but that what give more value to the good that we do, that it is not a spontaneous thing. It is against all the odds. I was really impressed by how psychologists really think. They really look at things different from us, non-psychologists, if you like. Okay, for the psychologists, they don't see, oh, why this human being is using drugs. No, they said the mystery. How come the human being is not using drugs? You see, the mystery is peace, not violence. That in our daily life, how come they do this thing in this part of the world or that world? How that murderous, act happened? How? For psychologists, they say, how come we are not killing each other? Because this is more difficult.
Yeah.
This is the challenge. This is the mystery. The mystery is how to act as an entrustee, as a trustee, as someone who is entrusted with all this. Because if we are left with chaos, will prevail.
Dr. Walid?
Yes, please.
Yeah, if I may, two things.
But I just want to, does that make sense to you? Like, this is how we, it's not the other way around. Not the mystery that, oh, there are people who are using, the mystery that you and I do not use it. How come? You are sometimes invited to a big, party, and everybody is drinking, and you are not drinking. Consciously, you are not drinking. Consciously. Okay? You are the mystery. You see, because you are trying to do it against all the odds, against everything people may say. But you say it confidently, I do not drink. And if somebody has a mind, they will say, oh my, like, how many times people come to you and say, how are you able, like, to fast all day? How many times? Eating is it a mystery? If people, like, are responding to their desires, I swear to God, the first person asked me about fasting in this country was one of my professors. He said, he said, Walid, how are you able to do it if the time for lunch, okay, comes and I did not really go and eat? My whole day is really like goes up and down. So he was looking at it as a mystery. But all these people are eating. Did you say, oh, look, how these people are eating? Oh my God, what is this mystery? This is not the mystery. The mystery is really when you are able to control a desire like hunger and thirst. And go from there. Your wealth. If you act as a trustee, this is the mystery. When you are giving out from you things that are dear to you, مما تحبون, and you share others with it. This is the mystery. Yes, Brother Yusuf.
Yeah, two things. What you were discussing before, to be responsible, if we are not acting responsible, we have so many examples. And also one of this is when this guy went up and he saw the black hole. That's one of this is what happened in the chaos the other brother was referring to. So that's what it is. But وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. This ayah remind me another ayah which is very cut and dry, which is لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مِمَّا تُحِبُّونَ. I mean, that ayah is just telling us you cannot even go close to the bir, which is that's what we are trying to do in our life, and you cannot even reach to once if you are not using whatever you like the most. It could be money, it could be anything you like, and you do not spend out of that and share with other people, and also don't use it in a very responsible way.
Yep.
So that's a very
Yes,
cut and dry.
No question about it. But again, the perspective that the ayah in Surah Al-Hadeed and the ayah that we quoted earlier from Surah Al-Baqarah is really the perspective of what does it really mean to be a trustee.
Yeah.
What does it mean that everything Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us, we are entrusted with it. It is very powerful. And the idea of when we say that it happens over time, إِنِّي جَاعِلٌ فِي الْأَرْضِ خَلِيفَةً. What does it really mean over time? It means that it needs to be nurtured. It needs to be cared for all the time. To be conscious about it all the time. It's not like one-time event. Oh, I have become a trustee. This is not the idea. Doesn't happen this way. I mean, no, it is over time that the human being and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, my dear brothers and sisters, believe in us that we are able to reach that level, despite the fact that there is Qabil, the brother who killed the person who killed his brother, despite the fact that there is lot of evil, lot of people who can go to violence, still the human being is capable of achieving his project of being entrusted, acting responsibly with what they are really given. And that requires a lot of work. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately said, وَعَلَّمَ آدَمَ الْأَسْمَاءَ كُلَّهَا. You need like something that will direct your actions, to keep you in order, not to go into chaos. Is there something more than understanding and realizing the beautiful names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught Adam alayhi salam in order to be able to continue to do his job properly. So you see, you see how the verses in Surah Al-Hadeed talked about who is Allah, and this is Allah that you need to believe in. And now, okay, you need to act as a trustee on this earth. I have given you all these things, not to make out of it chaos and disorder. No, it's really like to act responsibly and preserve that order. Live in harmony with the order that you see in this whole universe. But today, we are not doing good job. There are times when we are doing that job properly, but there are times when we are not. And then the responsibility becoming more and more. Now, let us. Can you put the diagram again, Shakil? Thank you. So you can see that parallel or symmetrical to 1 to 9 that we discussed last week, we have 18 to 21. Not is it 18?
Yes, 18 to 21.
Oh, yeah. 10 to 21. Yeah. Yeah. So, in fact, yeah. So, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we saw last time, وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُؤْمِنُونَ بِاللَّهِ وَالرَّسُولُ يَدْعُوكُمْ. Okay. Now it's talking about إِنَّ الْمُصَّدِّقِينَ وَالْمُصَّدِّقَاتِ وَأَقْرَضُوا اللَّهَ قَرْضًا حَسَنًا يُضَاعَفُ لَهُمْ وَلَهُمْ أَجْرٌ كَرِيمٌ. So it's very well connected with the verses talking about وَمَا لَكُمْ أَلَّا تُنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. You see, verse number 10. وَمَا لَكُمْ أَلَّا تُنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَلِلَّهِ مِيرَاثُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The same way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is putting before us that question, how come that you don't believe? But then also he is asking, how come that you do not spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? You forgot that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala owns the whole universe around you, the heavens and earth. وَلِلَّهِ مِيرَاثُ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. You see, this is the verse that I was alluding to that gives us the evidence, if you like, that the Surah Al-Hadeed was revealed after the liberation of Mecca and the revelation of Surah Al-Fath. Inna fatahna laka fathan mubina. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying those who really struggled before the liberation of Mecca are not the same in their struggle like those who embraced Islam after the liberation, without really taking any credit for anyone. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us about time when it was really so, the challenges were so much, the threats were very high, and were really like struggling with the believers, struggling, the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, struggling against all these odds, against all these internal and external enemies. Spending in the way of Allah was so challenging. And so you cannot make these people the same like those who came afterwards. لا يستوي منكم من أنفق من قبل الفتح وقاتل. So before the liberation of Mecca is not the same after the liberation of Mecca. Definitely things get easier after, and people have probably more compared to those who did not have a lot before the liberation of Mecca or Fatah Mecca. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, أولئك أعظم درجة من الذين أنفقوا من بعد وقاتلوا. So they are at a higher level. That doesn't mean that these people who came after the liberation are not good. No, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala immediately said, وَكُلًّا وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, in the same way they did good, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reciprocate with what is even better. Al-Husna, what is the plural of Ahsan, better. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised both of them Al-Husna. لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. In fact, what made them spend in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is their belief in Al-Husna. You remember Surah Ash-Shams? Can you put it up, brother, which is number 20, 92. Surah number 92. So after the oath, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, فَأَمَّا, please see this is very beautiful. Can you go up? No, not Ash-Shams. Surah Al-Layl. Did I say Ash-Shams? No, Al-Layl, number 92. Yes, this one. Okay, so read with me verse number 4 or 5. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. أعطى, to give. اتقى, taqwa. But again, you see the action and the direction, because every lot, ata or giving, is a universal activity. Any society you find, giving being practiced. Otherwise, people cannot work, cannot live without the cooperation between them. One is giving and the other will take, and vice versa. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not talking about any type of giving. A giving that is given the right direction. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. So taqwa is really coinciding, going hand in hand with giving. Giving, the activity of giving and the standing, okay, in the what we call the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. You have to believe in something higher. Saddaqa, you have to believe in something higher in order to do that action. What is really the incentive to do some is really the objective, the goal. If you believe in something higher, you go towards it. And so this is how we acquire our own habits. You repeat that action, and then it becomes part of you. It becomes easier as you repeat. Like Dr. Butt, like she's a surgeon, how difficult was at the beginning to do an operation, but then over and over, you do it with your eyes closed.
Yeah, not
because it has because it has become part of you. This is what is the meaning. فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى.
Not hopefully not completely eyed closed.
No. No.
Metaphorically. But the idea, نُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. It becomes easier as we repeat something. If you practice giving, at the beginning it's so difficult, but as you do it over and over, it becomes much easier to liberate yourself from what you really have. And so you can see here all the elements, okay, to acquire a habit. Ibn Khaldun doesn't call it habit or ada. He call it malaka. Malaka from when you own something. It is under your control. Because sometimes we may become under the control of a habit. No, there is a higher level. When you are conscious of what you are really doing all the time, and you are putting the habit under your own control, you are bigger and higher than the habit itself, than the action itself. You are always ahead. You see, and that what taqwa will give. This is the control that you add to your action. أعطى واتقى وصدق بالحسنى فسنيسره لليسرى. It becomes easier and easier as you practice that action or that activity.
Dr.
And
Walid,
so, yes, please.
there's a name for this. It's called conscious competence. Being aware of what needs to be done and then being conscious about it.
Very beautiful. Honestly, very beautiful. This is another way of expressing the idea of Ibn Khaldun. It's not a simple habit, okay? Because your eating is a habit, okay? But if you add consciousness to it, and so you say, oh, this I can eat, this I cannot eat. Mm-hmm. You see, now, today I am not even eating. I am fasting. You see the control, and this is the idea. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. You see about fasting. يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الصِّيَامُ كَمَا كُتِبَ عَلَى الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. To acquire this ability of self-control, self-restraint. You have this conscious competency. It's amazing how, because yes, you are doing the surgery, okay, but you are conscious all the time. It is under your control, okay, because anytime something can happen unexpected, but you immediately attend to that unexpected incident and take care of it. Otherwise, anybody can be a surgeon. No, not anyone. Only those who are really like went through all this training to become competent in a high level activity like that, highly coordinated, activity. So the idea وَمَا لَكُمْ أَلَّا تُنْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. So the idea of وَكُلًّا وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى هَلْ جَزَاءُ الْإِحْسَانِ إِلَّا الْإِحْسَانِ. If you are doing good, what do you expect from Allah? Not only reciprocity, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala always give for the good action, okay, something more than what you have done. You see, من جاء بالحسنة فله عشر أمثالها, 10 times. But if you do something bad, he will only give you 1 sin, not 10 times. But when you do good, it will be multiplied. See the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. من جاء بالسيئة فلا يجزى إلا مثلها, 1 to 1. But when it is a good action, you will given 10 times reward. And if I go back to what Shakil always remind us, it's here before the hereafter. In this life, the effect of a good action is multiplied. Its effect is many folds on the society. And the same thing, in certain situations, the bad effect may be doubled on us. So we have to be very careful. We need to be very, very conscious. إن المصدقين والمصدقات وأقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا يضاعف لهم ولهم أجر كريم. You see, again, you can see how important, okay, the idea of infaq and the concept of anfaqa. You see, like in Mecca, Quran was talking about giving, ata. But in Medina, the vocabulary changed. The vocabulary, it changed. Now you see anfaqa. Why? Because these words are not only like to decorate the verses in Quran. No, each one of them is reflecting the challenge that is facing the newly born society. In Mecca, the challenge was how to increase the goodness in you. Like in the same surah, Surah Al-Layl. Can you put it back, please? Number 92. Just to show you the connection between the vocabulary, the term used, and the function or what is expected from it. Go to verse number 18. يؤتي ماله يتزكى. تزكية, the increasedness of goodness of the human self, the human soul, to how to elevate. You see, because we have been talking about our own desires, which are part of us. But if you elevate yourself, you go above the desires, and your desires become the values themselves. Allah became your goal. Inna ila rabbina raghibun. Believe me, raghba is desire. But when you elevate your raghba from the lower things like eating and drinking and other, like materialistic or worldly, what we call the worldly desires, okay? You elevate to the values. And then Allah became your qibla and his beautiful names. Inna ila rabbina raghibun. So the idea again, or the goal of giving at the beginning was to elevate the human soul. In Medina, the challenge changed. You are facing a very dangerous enemy inside, al-munafiqun. You see, nafaqa, anfaqa. If you want really to resist the phenomenon of nifaq, you have to pay in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You have to practice infaq. So you can see that in Mecca, you don't see anfaqa. In the Meccan Quran, you don't see anfaqa. You see it in Medina revelation. Because the challenge in Medina now is bigger and is coming. So what were the al-munafiqun used to say? لا تنفقوا على من عند رسول الله. This was their really propaganda. Their propaganda was, do not pay for the people around Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. These homeless people that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was helping them with his followers because they were homeless. Ahlul Suffa. So the al-munafiqun, their strategy, their propaganda was, do not pay. We discussed Surah Al-Munafiqun together, but go to it, please, brother Shakil, which is number 63. Just to show you, it is amazing, my dear brothers and sisters, when you understand the challenges, and now the vocabulary of Quran becomes so telling. Okay, so go to verse number 7. You will see it to yourself. هم الذين يقولون لا تنفقوا على من عند رسول الله حتى ينفضوا ولله خزائن السماوات والأرض. It's like لله ميراث السماوات والأرض ولكن المنافقين لا يفقهون. They lack deep knowledge, deep understanding. This is why they are following that propaganda. They thought that it will be easy to divert the believers from paying in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Go to the end of the surah, number 10. We are in the same surah. See the response. Did Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam kill these people who were saying that? He was able to finish them, but that will not finish the problem. Their strategy is this propaganda, asking the people not to pay and not to exercise infaq. See what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the believers. وَأَنفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. Wow. That means the issue is very urgent and emergent. You are living an emergency. You have to pay. Otherwise, you cannot resist that phenomenon of nifaq. وَأَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ قَبْلِ أَنْ يَأْتِيَ أَحَدَكُمُ الْمَوْتِ. You see, pay before time is up. Nobody knows when his time is up. So hurry up and exercise infaq before your time is up, before my time is up. You got it? How it is, so it is an emergency and you have to respond in the same way. How do you respond, doctor, but when you have an emergency?
We act fast and we do what needs to be done.
Do you stay at home and you give orders on the phone?
No.
No, it is an emergency. You have to be there, even if it is in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And you take care of it. And in the same way, Quran is saying, look, you are facing a very dangerous movement, underground movement. And you have to respond appropriately. The appropriate response is different in Medina. You are facing that challenge. The challenge in Mecca was how to elevate yourself, working on yourself. Tazakka. يؤتي ماله يتزكى. Here, you are spending to protect the society from from crumbling under the effect of this underground movement. Now, how are you going to respond to those who are really attacking you from outside? And Quran told us that these people are paying their money, but paying their money to destroy you, to stop the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Please, Shakil, go to Surah Al-Anfal, which was revealed after the Battle of Badr, which is number 8. Just to show you really why infaq in the way of Allah, not any infaq, because the Meccan elites were feeling also the heat coming from the message of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam and his increasing power, if you like. So they have to respond, and they had to respond by infaq. But see how they make that infaq, how they practice it. Verse number 36. Yes, here. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. You talked about al-munafiqun, and also there are also al-kuffar. Not only those who rejected the truth, who want to stand in the way of the truth, and they want to destroy the newly born society. إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. While the believers, they are paying in the way. What does it really mean in the way of Allah? They are spending to establish justice, to protect justice, to serve justice, to serve freedom, to protect the freedom of people. And the most important, their freedom of worship and the freedom of religion. To prevent fitna. Because fitna is worse than killing itself. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَكْبَرُ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. So now you know why Quran in Medina will use infaq in response to the new challenge. The challenges coming from the outside enemy and the challenges from the inside enemy, al-munafiqun. Now you can understand, okay, what happens. من ذا الذي يقرض الله قرضا حسنا فيضاعفه له وله أجر كريم. You see now, you can see multiple folds. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reciprocate in his reward. Okay, because Allah is Kareem, generous, and he will reward these people who spend, both males and females, مصدقين and مصدقات.
Dr. Walid?
Yes, please.
If I may, there is a ayah in the Quran in Surah Qasas, which is, I think, for all of us, there is a lesson what we are discussing. And Allah says, subhanahu wa ta'ala, Ya Dawood, inna ja'alnaka khalifatan fil ardi, fahkum bayna an-nas bil haqq.
Yes.
Wa la tattabi' الهوى فيضلك عن سبيل الله إن الذين يضلون عن سبيل الله لهم عذاب شديد بما نسوا يوم الحساب. So anil hawa, don't follow your desire and do everything with justice, what you were talking about. So there is a lesson for each one of us. If we consider ourselves the Khalifa in our inside, that's exactly we have to do.
Yes, yes. So in other words, the judge, okay, because Dawood alayhi salam was in the position of a judge, people coming to him with their disputes, and he is supposed to judge among them. All right. So you are a judge. It means that you are entrusted.
Yeah.
With what? With the justice. What do you call those in the Supreme Court? Justices. It's not only just. They represent justice. They are entrusted with the justice. The highest level. They require a totally different caliber to be in that position. Not to use your lusts and your biases, okay, to make decisions. But the closer you are to justice, your rulings will be just. And since you mentioned that verse, read the one after it.
I simply picked up that one. Yeah, 1 second. Let's see. More.
Yes, which is, I mean, Surah Sad 38.
Yeah, it says, وَمَا خَلَقْنَا السَّمَاءَ وَالْأَرْضَ وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا بَاطِلًا.
You see the connection? You see the connection? You see the connection? I mean, heaven and earth was it really like founded on falsehood? Batila? No. بالحق. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق.
And وما بينهم.
Yeah, not batila, but in other verses, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says بالحق. خلق السماوات والأرض بالحق.
Yeah.
You see, and so what does it really mean? So you have to follow the truth. You have to be just. So you see that Khalifa, it means you are entrusted not only with the material thing, but with these high values. Who is going to establish them on earth? You see what I mean? If otherwise, again, chaos will prevail. No. We want order to prevail. So
Allah,
yes, please.
I think it's important to mention this. you know, all the translations that I have read of the Quran, the word that they have used for Khalifa is vicegerent, and the dictionary meaning of vicegerent is an earthly representative of God.
Yeah, honestly, you see, because Khalifa,
Yes.
let me tell you the story behind that.
Okay.
When Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam passed on, and he joined his creator, okay, انتقل إلى الملأ إلى الرفيق الأعلى, what we say. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam died, and you know, all of you, what happened at that moment, okay?
Right.
When things settled down and life has to go on, okay? And so what? And Abu Bakr reminded them, "Man kana ya'budu Muhammadan fa inna Muhammadan qad mat." If you think that you were worshiping Muhammad, Muhammad is dead. So you were wrong about. I mean, you are basing your life on very wrong assumption. But من كان يعبد الله فإن الله حي لا يموت. But if you believe in Allah, Allah is all life, okay, and He doesn't perish or die. All right, and Quran, and He was referring to Quran, okay. فإن مات أو قتل انقلبتم على أعقابكم. Because Muhammad ﷺ was wounded. You remember in Uhud, and
yes.
and the rumor at that time that Muhammad was killed. And you know what was the effect. So Quran reminded them that Muhammad is going to die. Yes, he did not die now, but he is going to die. What will happen to you after he dies? You revert to, or you retreat to what you were doing before. So at that time, okay, as I said, when the believers settled, okay, and things became quiet, now they want to go on and they need a leader, okay. And we know how they agreed on Abu Bakr to be their leader. What should we call him? It was a challenge, like any challenge in life. What should we call that person? Okay. So now people usually, like every time we face a situation, let us say in my hospital, one of the things that we always do, what other hospitals are doing? Is that right? Yeah, how many times we hear it? Okay. Let us see what other companies do. Let us see what other families do. I mean, like, this is common. And that's what I said. Let us see what others, what names they are familiar with. Emperor, Najashi, king, but they did not settle on any of them. So they chose the word Khalifa. It is a Quranic, from the Quranic vocabulary, if you like. Okay? Khalifa is, there is nothing before that to call the head of a state or the head of a community, okay, Khalifa. Okay? But they were influenced by Quran. So they said, what should we call this person? Khalifatullah or Khalifatu Rasulillah? If we say Khalifatullah, it means that this human being is coming after Allah. Allah does not die. Muhammad dies and he is absent. So I can be, because Khalifa from Yakhluf, to come, to succeed.
Right. I was just going to say that the word like takhlafin, successor.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. So what do you want to be? Successor of Allah or successor of Muhammad?
No, I think Muhammad,
yes,
obviously.
Because the human is a human being.
Right.
So this is why I am saying the Khalifa.
Yeah.
I don't really honestly agree totally with, unless I use it metaphorically, okay, but cannot be truly Khalifa of Allah on earth. You see, you are Khalifa to Rasulullah. You come, we are Khala'if. We come one after the other. One generation succeeds another, okay? And so this is why I choose the trustee, okay, because from this mustakhlafina fi, you are entrusted with all this that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you. And this is why I like the translation of a trustee rather than vice. What it entails, what its connotation. Their meaning may be the same, but the connotations may be different. It's like when you say a slave, okay, or the worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You see, the connotation of a slave completely different from the worshipper of Allah. You are not a slave of Allah. Allah is not a slave owner. Allah doesn't need slaves.
No, okay, but
you are trying to get closer to Allah. This is why I am saying the meaning. You are meaning right. I mean, I am not. I mean, questioning or doubting you. Okay, but we have to be very careful about the connotation, not only the meaning. The meaning and the connotation. And I think Sister Robina understands well what I mean. But there is difference. They are not the same. The meaning and the connotation are not synonymous.
But Brother Walid, when you say connotation, you are talking about being afraid of other human being. We cannot be,
not afraid. I am very sensitive. I am very sensitive. What does it really mean, slave?
Okay. All right. So let me ask you, and I'll stop after that. I am honored to be a slave of Allah the Almighty. And the other thing in second sentence is, how much do we, or can we control? Can I control my own death? Can I control when I will not be sick? We cannot control all that.
No. This is not right. Let me ask you this question. Okay. Do you come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of your, of your freedom? Are you coming to Allah freely? Or you are really coerced?
Well,
you are free. You are free. You made that out of your own volition.
Right, but
to come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Allah Himself answers your question.
Let me finish. Okay, you are coming to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala out of your own volition. Give me a slave who can do something on his own or her own.
Okay, but I was going to say the Quran.
This is the connotation that we are talking about. You did not distinguish between, and this is not your problem. It's the problem of sometimes even scholars. They fall into this problem. Quran distinguish between abid and ibad. Abid who are really slaves to anything. You can be a slave to your own wealth, a slave to your own property, a slave to your own ego.
Understood. And you're absolutely right.
But ibad is different. Ibadullah, Ibadur Rahman is different. Track it in Quran, and you see that every time Quran used the word abid is in conjunction with the idea that they are slaves to something. They have idolized something other than Allah. But Ibadur Rahman, they liberated themselves from idolizing everything and connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so this is the idea behind, okay, not only the meaning, but also, and this is why sometimes people, I told you about another problem, is really the word distinguish versus the word separate. Read in the translation. لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله. They say that we don't distinguish between among his messengers. Not right. You distinguish. Muhammad is not Nuh. Nuh is not Ibrahim. Ibrahim is not Musa. You distinguish between them, but you don't separate between them because they are on the same axis. They are on the same project. You see, that's my, I mean, sometimes, I mean, this is why language should be subservient to the vision. You cannot approach Quran without vision. And this is why the language serves the vision, not the other way around.
A slave of the language then. Unfortunately, we become slave of the language because we are trying to, word by word, we are trying to understand what is this translate into. But if you look at the vision throughout the Quran, Allah doesn't need slave. Why he wants to be a slave owner or a slaving of human or anything else? He is the creator. Right?
Al-Ghani, yes. Ghaniyun Hamid, it will come, yes.
Right.
But for those of us who come from the Indian subcontinent, this has a bigger meaning than Brother Walid you may appreciate, because see, in the Indian subcontinent we have the Hindus are the large majority, okay, and they worship the statues and all that. And in Surah Furqan, ayah number 17, this is the scene when he has gathered the statues and the mushrikeens, and Allah is asking the statues, فَيَقُولُ أَنْتُمْ أَضَلْتُمْ عِبَادِي? Did you mislead? Now, if I translate my worshipper, does that make sense?
Worshippers, yes.
No, but he's asking the statues, when he had been revived, given life, he's asking that, did you mislead these other guys, the Hindus, for example, in this case? And Allah is asking them, my ibadi. Now, if I translate to my worship, the Hindus did not worship, they worship the statues, not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
You see, that this is the whole idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really elevating, okay, these people, because this is in the day of judgment. In the day of judgment, there is nothing else. Everybody becomes truly true worshipper of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the day of judgment, everything it's changed. They were acting, you see, they were acting like this in this life as abid. Even the idols themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ تَدْعُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ عِبَادٌ أَمْثَالُكُمْ. They should be true worshippers of Allah like you. How come that you make them idols?
I'm surprised that we are bringing our own issues and to Quran. Our ignorance. It is our ignorance, our understanding. Why should we impose this on the Quranic, ayahs? We should try to understand. And honestly, I can only speak for myself, Dr. Walid. I exactly understand what you are saying. I have changed myself. Those were the meanings which I understood all the time. But after listening to you, I got rid of that. I've been telling people and they understand it. But why are we bringing those ideas back, those ignorance and those translation back in the discussion here? I just don't understand, because we are going back. Nobody can translate Quran because translation is just whatever it comes to. If we read Surah, everywhere translation, Surah Fatiha, where do they come with when Allah is talking about, Walad Dwalin, where it is written, and so many examples I can give. I'm not sure where did they come up with Nasara and Yahud. I have no idea. And there are so many things which they are translating wrong in the Quran, where it comes to their own interest, they say min. And the Quran is only talking about spouse. They never say spouse, but they would translate it men and women where it is against their interest. So things like that, we have to understand now and maybe just disregard those things.
Assalamu alaikum. Can I say something, Brother Walid?
Please, yeah, please.
Yeah, I think in the ideal world, it would be really much easier that we should focus at learning the Arabic, possibly to maybe, avoid some of those, the translation issues that, there may be so many out there. And as you said, this does not do the total justification for the Quranic vision.
Yeah. I will add excellent idea. I mean, no question that this is the medium, okay, through which Quran was really revealed. But really we need, and we have been really working hard, like to move from the Arabic language to the Quranic Arabic. Quranic Arabic is not the same as the Arabic of Arabia. I mean, definitely it is the same language, but really the Quran took certain words that have been there, but elevated them by adding new concepts, and they became part of the Arabic of Quran. You see what I mean? And so this is why we are trying as much as possible, okay, to learn more about the Arabic of Quran. And this, what we are doing together, that will also eliminate really the barrier of the language. Okay, and now because I am alerting people around me that be careful. Okay, if you track these words in Quran, they will give you a totally different vision and a totally different understanding. And this is why we track these words, how they were used across Quran, in order to come up with, to the best of our knowledge. Okay, and remember that this is a dynamic thing. Okay, I could have used that, like Yusuf was saying, we could have used this, but after we get deeper knowledge and we track these different vocabularies, okay, through Quran, these terms, definitely a lot of things we have really abandoned. Okay, because now it makes really it is more consistent with the overall vision of Quran and the understanding of the relationship between the human being and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So in other words, this relationship is about elevation. It's not like to make you less. Why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is really telling the people who idolize other things, you are not doing the right thing to yourself. You are making zulm to yourself. Like Ibrahim alayhi salam, when he told his people, أَتَعْبُدُونَ مَا تَنْحِتُونَ, you are worshipping things that you have sculptured with your own hands. You invent something and you worship it. Who is higher? The idol maker or the idol? I mean, who is bigger? So you want to come down, or you want to elevate yourself? When you believe in Allah, you are really elevating yourself. You are connecting with something much, much, much higher than you. And your journey towards Him is ongoing. You want to replace this by another. You see, that's the whole idea.
I'm going back to this ayah we were talking about, how what Allah is talking about is more difficult. Like before, you can spend, you know that you're going for a victory, for a war, you're preparing yourself, but maintaining, I think this thing about people who are spending after you have won, after you have established a message is even harder to maintain that message going forward. I think that's
Yes,
because
you are
it's
right.
much more difficult because
Yeah.
now we're running into
Yes.
issues with the way
Yes.
people translate the message, which understand it.
Yeah.
Everybody has different ideas.
Exactly.
So I think
Yeah.
we have to be much more people who came after that victory, after
Yeah.
Prophet Muhammad
Yeah.
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam,
Yeah.
even have more responsibility to make
Exactly.
sure that we
Very
can.
good.
That's
Very,
why.
very,
That's why.
very good. Very good.
And
It's like the rich and the poor. I mean, if you take, I mean, these two, let us extremes. Okay, the person who doesn't have definitely is facing a challenge. Okay, from the little that he has, he still has like to spend something. Okay, and now for the rich, yes, he may have a lot. Okay, but it is still sometimes it is more difficult because it becomes a bigger siege. Okay, to use the same way, and the time of emergency, the incentive is clear that you have to do something about it. But when we relax, we may forget our responsibility. Okay, so no question. However, it is a time. This is why Quran said في البأساء والضراء وحين البأس. في السراء والضراء وحين البأس. يعني if when you I mean, like, you are relaxed and you have enough, and when things are not really too good, okay, and also at the time of calamity, at a time of affliction, at the time of war, at the time of a catastrophe. You see, so in all these situations, each one has its own challenge. And very good, Shakil, that after things have settled, after liberation of Mecca and things, and the threats have been most of them have been taken care of, the challenge remained the same. That you need these resources to build that society, protect this society, and to take it to flourishment.
And Dr.
Yes,
Khayr,
please.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Wa alaikum assalam.
So I would like to add to your concept, the concept of language and language evolution and formation. So the message in the surah that resonates with me is so simple. The concept of, trusting. That, as an educator, I want to convey this to the younger generation that the Quran, has entrusted you with huge responsibility. That these days we are talking about social justice, we are talking about going green, protecting planet Earth, and water pollution, air pollution, especially the water pollution, the things that we are doing. We are being so irresponsible in our actions, in our efforts to protect this planet. And that is the talk of the century. It is a universal struggle that people around the universe, they are struggling and trying to teach us to be responsible citizens of this planet. And from this surah, if you understand the conceptual framework, the message is so simple. And I would like to use the same message in your presentation to as a classroom, discourse, because my students can understand that from this surah, the message is so very simple, that you are entrusted with huge responsibility. You need Allah created this world, and you have to take the actions and accountability of your actions, and you should be sensitive of your efforts and decisions that you make in your everyday life. So likewise, I learn a lot from attending your session now, So thank you so much. And you are making us do a lot of critical thinking. You are giving us so many ideas where we can apply this into our own personal lives, where we can elevate ourselves and as an educator to our kids in parenting, and also in our professional life, we can disseminate this information in our professional lives, and become good Muslims.
Yeah. Again, you see how these challenges really change over time, but the message is really the same. Yes. If you, however you are in the time, let us say, of Hadrat Umar radiallahu anh, when he felt that as Khalifa, he is responsible not only for the human beings in his society, that he is leading and governing, but he is also responsible for the animals.
Right.
He would say, I would be asked by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala why I did not pave the road for that cow or that camel in Baghdad, not in Medina, in Baghdad. Why I did not. See, this is the level of responsibility that we are talking about. And see the light in the hearts of these people that was shining everywhere. مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح الله نور السماوات والأرض. But in fact, this is the candle that we have, you see or you feel in the hearts of every believer, that it will shine on everything, on the environment, on the animals in that environment, on the trees, on the plants. Yes, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
But then if it was supposed to be this way at the time of Hazrat Umar, what have we done to the planet? What has our action been that has led to this catastrophe? And I think we really need to look into ourselves. We talk about
exactly. That's why
but we need to be the model to show our children. We cannot be just talking the talk and not walking
But what I am saying that take this as a model facing their own challenges at the time. Our challenges are different. At that time, they were not having these issues with the environment, but they were entrusted. They knew what to do. Okay. Now our challenges are more complex, but the message is the same. Mustakhlafin. You see, we are entrusted with this universe, and we are responsible. Yes, how to protect it from pollution. Yes, how we can really protect it from pollution. How we can provide clean water. How can we prevent global warming? What are we doing with carbon dioxide? All these things that they are increasing the chaos.
I think the younger generation is much more aware of this environmental issues than any of us, because we need to connect with them. We need to be their ally, and that's why they're gonna see it. Like if we be their ally, they're gonna understand where we are coming from, unless we are trying to convince them to do it our way. Right?
Exactly.
What understanding was.
A simple thing that if we want to be a model community, and if we want to demonstrate that this is what our Quran says, this is what this surah says, that we are trusty, so we can have a plastic bag that we carry for groceries. I'm a Muslim. This surah tells me this, and I am the trustee of the resources. The plastic pollution is going huge and global. So all of us are carrying this bag for groceries. This is our way of conveying to the society that being a Muslim, this is what I learned from the surah, and mention the surah, mention the ayah, carry that bag. That way you will be, practically implementing what you're learning.
And just like Sister Rabia said, we shouldn't be just talking, we should be walking. There is a famous #1 player on New York. Right now, he is building wells in Suba Sindh in Pakistan, which is nothing but desert. Nobody is doing, but he is doing. I have to look in myself inside. Am I doing something like that? If they tell me I'm not doing anything like that with my resources, it doesn't have to be a will, but what am I doing? I'm a lot less than that person who is, born in America and we call him Christian or whatever. Okay. So this is how I have to judge myself and compare with those folks who are dealing with something doing for the humanity, rather than just talking and everything. And that is just one example.
Yeah.
But we can do so many things with our resources, whatever limited resources we have, rather than just just discussing. Discuss is good, but we got to implement in ourselves. Just myself, I can control myself, not others. That's what the lesson I should, I'm taking out of all this.
And I also think in our khutbahs and in our sermons, we always talk about being doing our namaz and doing our roza and doing whatever we need to do and thinking about Allah. But in those sermons, we should bring this concept in and make this common knowledge, because we purport that we are taking care of the earth. This is what we were told by Allah, but we don't ever talk about in our common prayers. And so I think that's when people who are from other faiths will understand that this is important to us.
Yeah. In other words, I will refer to what Dr. Rabia mentioned earlier about conscious competency, how we can work in order to reach that level. Okay. The idea, okay, if we are teaching our, let us say, kids, let us say Sister Rubina is talking to the youngsters, where you are planting these important ideas. Okay, now they start really practicing over and over and over until it becomes part of them. They will not only practice it, but they will be talking about it and encouraging others about it. Now they are very conscious about what they are really doing, because they are connecting it with a higher goal. I want to be among mustakhlafina fi. And today, if you read books about habits, they reach the same conclusion, that if you only rely on repeating a certain action to acquire a habit, there will be a time when you may fail. There will be no incentive to continue doing, let us say, exercising in order to lose weight. Okay, but you may reach a time of fatigue and you may not exercise anymore and you lose the battle. But if you put a goal for yourself, you say, I want to be among the healthy people who exercise, you see, that becomes the incentive to repeat that activity. And so if we really teach our kids how to be among al-muttaqin, how to be among mustakhlafina fi, how I want to be among al-mu'minin, then the actions will be much easier to tackle. You see what I mean? So that objective, that goal becomes the incentive, not the action itself. Because again, we don't want to become imprisoned in the action. But no, if I have a goal, okay, every time you practice that action, it gets you closer to that goal. You see what I mean? And then you feel that, oh my God, this is what it means to be Khalifa. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa. So that is the connection that we really need to make. And that would be the strongest incentive for these actions to be taken. Make sense?
Yeah.
Very Can good. I give just one quick example, Dr. Walid Khayr?
Before that, I think that I think what Sister Robina is talking about should really become really an action plan coming out of this discussion. Okay, why don't every few weeks tell us like about what have you done with the younger generation, what is their feedback, how they, you see, I think that would be really a very good exercise for all of us. And that's where you remind us, okay, of this very important concept and how it is really being, okay, applied in our own daily life. Make sense?
Yes.
I'm
Great.
all for it.
Yeah, and you are the best to do that, no question about it. Yes, Brother Yusuf.
Yeah, I'll just give my example quickly, and I'm sure it had happened to a lot of our friends here. Before I came to this country, it is even now common back home. I'm originally from Pakistan. When you are driving, and if you eat something, it is common that you throw that garbage out the window on the street. When I came here, and I look around and everybody is doing the opposite, that's what we are talking about. It became my habit and conscious habit. I cannot, if I see somebody else doing that, it looks so bad to me that it is a bad thing. That's exactly what it is. Repeating yourself, changing your habit, and it becomes a conscious action, you take.
Competence. Yes, very good. Very good. Yeah, very good.
It
Great.
becomes very difficult for us to go back home and see people throwing stuff out.
Honestly,
on
yeah.
the street. It becomes really. I carry bags and plastic bags or bags with me to, like, okay, put this stuff in here,
Yes,
right? Instead of just throwing on, and then people
Yeah.
complain like how there's pollution.
Yeah,
city
yeah.
pollution.
And this is really part of the idea, نُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. You became, your path towards what is better is eased on you.
Yeah.
To the point that you feel helpless to do the opposite. We did not continue with that surah, but the Quran gave us the opposite picture of somebody who does a bad action and repeat it over and over. Quran say, will make it easier on that person to go to the worst, to the bad, to the point they become helpless to do something good. Let me ask you a question. If there is a bad word, a bad vocabulary, do you say it between you and yourself?
No.
You cannot.
No.
Even between you and yourself, okay, you cannot say it. Not only that you don't say it to somebody else, even between you and yourself, you cannot say it. Because you have trained yourself only to say good words. It becomes very difficult on you to say a bad one. I swear to God, I remember like in more than one occasion when we are like in the cafeteria with other like colleagues, I swear to God, there were times when they say, guys, be careful. Walid is among us. They will not say a bad thing or a bad joke because I am with them. I did not, I swear to God, I never like said anything to these people. But with time, they realize that in front of Walid, we cannot even say something bad.
Exactly.
And forget about Walid, it happens everywhere. I'm sure it happens with all of you. So this is the whole idea about, again, how to be conscious. I think that is another important theme of today's really discussion. How to be conscious about what you are really doing until you reach that competency.
Exactly.
Thank you very much. We will continue,
much.
inshallah, but I want you to see the following verses at the connection with al-munafiqin. Now you understand why in this surah, Quran is talking يَوْمَ يَقُولُ الْمُنَافِقُونَ وَالْمُنَافِقَاتِ. It's not haphazard to be talking about them in connection with infaq. Okay? Inshallah. We'll continue the discussion next week, inshallah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Salam alaikum.